Are we on? Are we on? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And oh boy, we have a very special guest. This basketball head is an author of one of the most important books on the basketball scene right now. The Parent Section Outside the Locker Room. I'm going to say that again, so y'all can go to Amazon and go pick that up. It's called The Parent Section Outside the Locker Room, from a national award-winning humanitarian and writer who runs a consulting firm specializing in nonprofit fundraising and media communications. This family's basketball history dates from the 1950s to the present. This basketball head has a host of relatives who played or are currently playing at the highest levels in Division I, D2, colleges all across the country, the EuroLeague, the G League, and the NBA. This basketball head is also the author of starting and building an awesome nonprofit for a new generation, and the editor of the suspense thriller Private Betrayal by S.R. Chase. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show award-winning humanitarian and writer, Simone Joye.
Y'all ready?
Y'all ready?
Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
How you doing? How you doing?
Hey there. Thanks for having me. That was a nice intro.
Thank you. I try to do my best. Well, listen, I want to say thank you, first of all, for coming on the show. I've been getting a lot of DMs on my Instagram from people who, are on the basketball scene, who's like, yo, Pooh, you definitely got to have this woman on the show. This book is amazing. She's a great person. All of these great accolades, and so it's only right for me to hit you up. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that. I like that.
Doubt.
Thank you.
No doubt. And you related to my homie, rest in peace, Coach Al Eford. So
Yes.
You family. It's all part of the brotherhood and sisterhood in New York City.
Yes. The book is actually dedicated to him too.
Yes, definitely. For sure. We definitely gonna get into that. But what I want to ask you is, who introduced you to the game? Because I ask everyone this question when they come on the show. Who introduced you to the game?
So obviously my family members like Coach Al and my Uncle Al, his dad. But I actually played for a short summer at the Roberto Clemente State Park when I was in the 8th grade. So that physically introduced me to actually being a player. And then I twisted my ankle and it was over for me. I was like, no, this is not for me.
Right. And listen, if you don't know, for people out there, it'll be better for you to break your ankle than sprain your ankle, because if it don't heal properly, it'll just keep getting hurt over and over and over. Whereas if it breaks, it kind of repairs itself fully. So it's crazy when my coach told me that, because I went through that problem in college.
Wow.
And he was just like, no, we're not going to put you back on the floor. And I was like, I could play. He said, I know you feel good now, but you're going to hurt it again. And I did, playing pickup outside in the courtyard, and got in trouble for that. But that's enough about me. What part of the city did you grow up?
Harlem in the Bronx. Actually, my teen years were spent on Cedric Avenue, Hip Hop Boulevard.
Okay.
Also home of Rod Strickland for a minute. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was life growing up for you there when you was young? Like, let's go through a little bit of your childhood, how life and what kind of shaped you. You know, being in New York City, being part of a basketball family. I know, you was around a lot of ball players and I would say we saw the good, the bad in New York. But when you from a basketball family or you played basketball, you was kind of protected, right? So how was life for you?
I wouldn't say it was like any other young person growing up in Gen X. We partied, we had fun. Big difference. We stayed outside a lot more.
Yes.
The kids today, so there always was something to go do, some party in the schoolyard, some game. Rucker, obviously. Every summer we couldn't wait to get out of school because Rucker was coming, and we knew all the boys was going to be there and the stars. And it was fun. It was a different time. Looked out for each other, and it's a lot of fun. I can't say that I felt like I was in a basketball family. It's just something that they do. It's not like, most of the guys in my family too are really, really tall. So I guess that kind of steered them to the game. And then,
right.
Coach Al, to you guys, to the family, he's Little Al because his dad was actually Big Al. He was always gone, and we watched his career and him giving back all those years to kids. So it kind of inspired me to get involved with young people.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to give a shout out to my guy, Delbert Prince, another author who I had on the show. He's the author of Coney Island Basketball History, Part 1, 2, and 3. He says, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Hands that make a difference. He said, congratulations to my cousin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Salute. Appreciate
Lisa.
that. Okay. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? All right. So when we talk about, the impact, what was some of the impact, that basketball had on some of the people around you?
Well, kept a lot of people out of trouble, got them into college, community service, activism, kept their bodies great, definitely taught us good nutrition and how to take care of your body and your mind, as well as, leaving the neighborhood, you get an opportunity to travel and things like that. But I really didn't get involved full time into this basketball life until my son started seriously. So for him, it helped make him to a great young man. It's given him great opportunities, very multicultural. That's one thing, that you meet all types of people. Great academically. You don't have to be that parent that pushes your kids to get good grades because they're going to do it because they don't want to get cut from their team or a game. So it helped a lot.
You mentioned earlier that a certain, New York City legend was from your neighborhood. And I would guess that he would be the best player that was coming up during that time. Was there anyone that that was better than Ross Strickland that was from around your neighborhood? That's my guy, my former teammate, so we good.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys better, but we can't say their names. But I got to plead the fifth.
It's so good.
They was ballers, but they was on the wrong side of the ball.
Got you. Well, just recently I had Bronx legend Fred Brown on the show, and he talked about some amazing stories and all the people that he met during his time playing. So just try to keep it. And I had Cornbread on the show. Who else? And Master Rob will be coming on soon. And I don't want to give away too much. I got a top 50 coming. I don't want to get out of the way. That's in the bag right now. Now, how did your family's involvement in the game help you with your son?
That's a good question. Support, definitely support. You can't do this alone as a parent. You definitely need support, connections, access to gyms, access to trainers, learning about, the NCAA portal, clearinghouse, different schools, who's coaches. I mean, everything. Like it takes a village in this basketball world, definitely, for any kid, I think, to succeed. Other parents, like you can't do this by yourself. But support, I think, is the biggest.
I try to get that through a lot of my parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
We run a tournament in my neighborhood, Brevoort Basketball League, and we try to assist the parents as much as we can because, as you and I know, those handlers and those street agents get involved and will kind of take control of the situation. A lot of times parents just give up their rights to these handlers and these agents and let them do as they please, and they're getting all the wrong information, or they're not getting any information at all, right?
Facts.
How did you help build that barrier between, those people that we call handlers and street agents and your son, right? Sure. Because I know you was tested plenty of time. You had to be. Him going to Lachlan and then McDuffie, right? It's a lot.
So I think the handler that Chad had, he helped me help him. Let me say that, to teach me the lesson, because one day after a game, he kind of cornered me, and I felt like he embarrassed me a little because he felt my son should have went one way, and I basically was saying as a parent that he's going another way, and he kind of embarrassed me and was yelling and screaming at me, and I had to like jump back and say, whoa, like you a little bit too involved. You do know that's my son. Like, but outside of all this basketball stuff, that's still my kid. And so from that point, like I kind of sat down with my son and basically we turned into like a partnership. So it's like if anybody came to him, before he would answer, he would come to me, get advice, even if he went back to tell the answer. And that's one thing I tell parents. Like, it's almost like, don't let your kid keep secrets. Always be there, that they feel that they could come to you, because a handler will go to your kid and be like, well, this coach wants you and this, that, and the third. And then the kid goes to his parent and the parent may disagree. And then it's like conflict in the house. So, you have to be open and upfront and keep communications with your child always. And then I don't think handlers can breach. Like, your kid is still a minor usually when these handlers come around too. So it's like, you need to go talk to the parent first and foremost.
Man, I would have found that very, very uncomfortable, somebody yelling at me about my child, and I get, you have to, keep that barrier there, because I know, trust me, I've experienced that. And my mom had no clue what the hell was going on. Luckily, she trusted me enough to make the right decisions. And those who came into my life because of basketball and only basketball, I kind of shunned them a little bit, or I used them for what I could get out of them and then went my own way.
Yeah, I hear that.
So we just had a little bit different back when we was growing up. There wasn't a lot of parent involvement. A lot of the parents didn't come to the games in the 80s, and you had a few, but not a lot, because people was working, trying to maintain a living. But I applaud the new parents, right? I applaud y'all and for what y'all do, because there are a lot of good parents out there that make sure that their kids make the right decisions.
Yes.
Without that, man, this whole thing will be gone. Yeah. So what did you learn about the game that surprised you once you became a basketball parent? Like, what was some of the one thing that you said, you know what? Wow, they doing it like this.
So on a macro level, I was very surprised that youth sports in America is a $19 billion a year industry. So that surprised me a lot.
Hold on. We're gonna throw a tech on that right there. Can you repeat that again for the audience?
youth sports in America is a $19 billion a year industry.
Wow.
And I suspect most of that money is coming from parents. So on a micro level, I was surprised at the infusion of prep schools today and how most of the young people are coming out of prep schools that are going on to colleges. Like, it's no longer really, that public school, I'm gonna make it to the NBA to get my family out the ghetto kind of thing, like when we grew up, to now. And I'm also really surprised, like Joe just put it in the box, that how tremendous AAU is today from when we were coming up, and the sponsorships and, the perks that these young players get. And, they get to ride on jets already. And, it's just like, wow, it's just a different level of basketball. It's definitely a business. It's not just sport.
I was just on the phone with a parent of one of the top players in the city, and he was just like done with the circuit. He was just like, yo, your pool is just a big business, man. It's like they're using our kids. And, again, his thing is a little bit different because where his son is placed. And he had to kind of figure out, do I want to be with the group, like where everybody else is? And I'm not going to call out any sneaking company names because y'all may want to sponsor me one day. Or do I want to be here where it's less traffic and my son can get the attention he needs, not so much pressure? Mm-hmm. He's going to be a sophomore next year. And I told him, I was like, yo, he already got his name out there. He need to just go hide away somewhere, work in his game, play in not everything, play in spot things that you think is going to help him, and then bring him back. Because I find that some kids, they hit a ceiling, you be hot one minute, and then the next thing somebody else is coming up, and, you kind of lose your ranking or your placement, as we would say. Mm-hmm. So I understand that the sneaker companies have a great involvement in what's going on. We don't see any more Nike commercials. You don't see any Adidas commercials. You don't see them. Why? Because the commercials are the programs, the camps, the tournaments, and the sneakers that the kids wear, that they're giving them for free.
Yes.
So, and it's been going on since I was coming up. And it was like the end of the beginning of like the mid 80s when they really started getting into the high schools early, because they were just only messing with the colleges, and then they went to the high schools and took it all over. Yeah, it's crazy out here. Okay, let's talk about the process. Like watching your son Chad go from Lockland to the Gauchos to Team Rio to the McDuffie School, where we have Coach Jerry Ice, right here. He's the coach at the McDuffie School right now.
Okay.
One of the coaches.
Okay.
Yeah. He's part of the McCullough family, right? From Harlem.
Okay. Mr. Bob. Love him.
Yeah. And he started at Rice, and then he went to Pittsburgh, and then he played overseas, Jerry Ice McCullough. Mm-hmm. And now he's at the McDuffie School. So when you say your son went to the McDuffie School, I was like, wow, this is awesome. My God coaches there. Okay, let's start from the beginning, right? Chad, just start playing basketball. When did you realize you had to step in?
Oh, boy. When did I realize I had to step in? I wish we could bring Chad here to answer that. So let me back that up a little. So right before Bishop Loughlin, his dad and a barber in Brooklyn determined that he would be going into basketball.
Gotcha.
And they hooked him up with Coach Smoke out in Brooklyn at South Shore. So that was Chad's first coach that got him involved, passionate in basketball. They wanted him to go to Smoke School. I wanted him to go to Bishop Loughlin. So that's when I started to get involved, when we were determining the educational aspect of where my son was going to attend high school. Basketball was all the men, if you will. Mom was about the education. And then the basketball just took off, if you will. So that's when I started getting involved. McDuffie was all Chad. Chad decided on his own to leave Lockland. We did a prep school tour. We went to about 4 or 5 schools upstate. It ended up at the McDuffie School with Jock Rivera, who ironically grew up on my block as well. And so Chad had found him on his own and didn't even know that I actually used to babysit Jock.
Wow.
So I felt like, okay, he could go away. I thought it was God ordained because it was Jock. And then it just went on from there.
You see how small this basketball world is? Just when you think you know everybody, you're like, damn, my mom know him. This is right. I think it was God ordained, because a lot of times they could have been with somebody you didn't know and probably didn't like or have a relationship with, and then your son probably would have paid for that. It could have went the other way. So thank the Most High for that.
Yes,
for sure. What will basketball teach parents once their child starts to go on the road?
Ooh. What will it teach parents? Oh, save up your money. Make sure that you have, a nest egg for basketball season, for travel, for expenses. It will teach you to network with who's who in the basketball world. Like, don't just sit in the gym, look around, look who's watching your son, go pull them in the hallway, ask their opinion. Like, don't let it just be a trip for you. Like, go and try to work the room, see who's who. I think another lesson is to let your child be independent with his team and his coaches. And you kind of take a backseat to that, and don't embarrass them, like going to their hotel room or, things like that. Let them come to you when they have free time. But I think it's a time for parents to learn how to be independent and let their kids live the journey without hovering over them.
Some great advice. I went to a game this year. Outside of my show, right? I cover high school basketball. Go to the games, kind of rank the players. I create the all-city team. Actually, did an all-city game for Tom Kachowski in his name this year, and had the Catholic school play against the public school. So I'm very, very involved with them. And one day I saw one of the top players in the country, parent, yelling and screaming at the crowd because they was cheering against his son. And, I'm sitting back and going, fans are going to do what fans do. It's short for fanatics, whatever. They cheer the game. They're going to root. They're going to cheer. They're going to boo. That comes with it. That comes with being a ball player, because you're performing in front of someone and people are going to cheer for you and some people are going to boo for you.
Yes.
I think as parents, got to understand that and don't take it personal. Where I saw this parent taking it personal, and it got into a real hideous situation where it spilled out, and the next time it spilled out onto the basketball court, and people had to get removed from the building.
Oh wow. Oof.
Have you seen that on the road or at any high school games where parents become too much involved in what the crowd is saying to their child?
Yes. Yeah. Not to the point where people had to get removed, but to the point where people had to talk to them to simmer down and be quiet. I've even sat in the bleachers once where an opposing team and his mother was dogging Chad, and so I just sat there and listened. My ear got real big, and I just listened. And then after that, I just kind of went to Chad and was just like, every time you play him.
But that's how you get. That's how you get him back.
Because this is what he was saying about you. But I think that the parent involvement in terms of getting asked to remove, be removed, or just like they're kids, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let them handle what's going on. Like, parents should not do that. And parents also have to understand too that once your son rises up to a certain level, like maybe up to that college level, or, you know, on a track to the pros, they're evaluating the whole family.
Yeah.
So if you were that like parent that was like out of control with high school coaches and refs, like college coaches, they don't want to deal with you. They don't want to deal with that, even if your son is the best player in the world. Like, they don't want to deal with drama. So you have to also be careful as a parent, no matter, even if you're in a little town in Pennsylvania or Idaho or big, you know, Harlem, Brooklyn, somebody's always watching you. Somebody, if your kid is good and people know your kid, someone in that gym is watching you too. And you always have to remember that. Besides the fact that you don't want to embarrass your child, because the coach is going to take that out on your kid at the next practice.
Wow. I had one of the top coaches in the country hit me up and told me he was going to be at a certain school. And I was like, Coach, you sure? It's going to be a blowout. He was like, exactly. I want to see how he performs during a weaker team. Is he going to show up or is he going to play down? I need to know this. And I never thought about that. I'm saying to myself, me being a college coach, I wouldn't have never thought to show up to a game where I think the kid is, you know, the kid is going to play against a school that's not on their level. Like you said, they're watching everything. He already know what he wants. He already saw what the kid could do. He's coming to watch him do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does he prepare or stay mentally focused when he's playing against a weaker team?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so definitely body language, you know, even the parents, they're recruiting the parents too.
Yes.
They're recruiting the parents. They want to see how loud the parents, who they going to have to deal with. Oh, you a headache? Oh, we're not dealing with you. Next.
True.
Dime a dozen. Yeah. Joe said, did you ever have a coach not treat the kids well? And how did you handle it? Let's just say, have you ever been in a situation where you've seen a coach not treat Chad well and then you had to address him?
No. Knock on wood. One thing about Chad, like he's a great young man and he takes instructions well. And, you know, he's never even come to me to say, you know, this coach treated me wrong or nothing. So I think it's, you know, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think he's very respectful. And yeah, so I've never had a problem like that I can think of. I'm thinking, but no, I've never had to check a coach, so to speak, or no. Mm-mm.
That's awesome.
And I wouldn't do that anyway.
Got you.
I wouldn't do that.
Got
Unless
you.
it was something real, like if they were hurting him, like it was a physical hurt, like maybe a coach hit my son. You know, there's some coaches that are abusing kids.
Yeah.
You know, and so there are things in place for that. You know, we find incidents of coaches sexually abusing kids, and you know, you go to law enforcement, et cetera, to school administrators, things. But I've never had to do that for a coach.
When I used to coach high school ball, I had a parent come to me one time and like yell at me because I didn't play their son the way they thought I should play him. I said, well, how about I cut your son and you coach him?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
I said, you can't tell me how to coach the team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And after that, I didn't hear no more from that parent. So
yeah,
that kind of worked. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. As a basketball parent, you said your time will not be your own. What are the sacrifices you have made along with other parents that you see are paying dividends now, even though it was a lot of work in the beginning?
Sacrifices. So weekends is over, you know, during basketball season. And now basketball season is kind of like 12 months out of the year in youth basketball. So it's like you're always at a game, you're always at a practice, you're always taking them to training. There's like, especially, you know, the high school season is like from November through like March, right? So there's games in the high schools, and then from like March, April, there's tryouts for AAU, and then like just forget summer vacations, till August. Then you may have like 2 weeks where you're off, where you could do a family vacation real quick or something while, youth basketball. It's not your own. You're up at Saturday morning, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. You're on the road. You're not getting back home till 6 o'clock after school. They're at practice. They're not getting until 6, 7. Then you trying to get them ready for the next day. And so, yeah, that's, it's part of your life too.
As a coach, you never really think about those things. Me being a former coach, we barely, worrying about a lot of things that the parents have to go through, or those parents that are there, because you got a lot of parents that aren't there, but those parents who are there, I think a lot of times coaches should kind of not just focus and watch just for the bad things, but see how much time these parents are actually putting in with their child, because it's definitely going to pay dividends in the long run. Because as long as the coach and the parent is on the same page, I think that works hand in hand.
And not just our kids. Like, I've been the carpool mom more than I can remember. Can you pick this one up? Can you drop him off? Hey, mom, yeah, I got him. Hey, mom, you got mine. And the people that have come and picked my son up because I couldn't get off of work, and they went like 90 minutes out their way to drop my son off. And it's just, it's a whole thing. So you're not just not looking out for your kid, but you're looking out for the other kids on the team as well. Coaches is calling you saying, hey, he lives near you. Can you go pick him up? And you may have never even met the parent or anything. So
that's true.
You're
one of the good ones. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
You're definitely one of the good ones. I could hear it already just through your story. It's not a lot of you out there, so just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
For sure. What are some of the financial costs that comes along with being a basketball parent? And are there ways to avoid paying the costs?
So I always segment it. So it's 2 ways to look at it: it's education and it's recreation, right? So education, obviously, if you want your child to go to a prep school, they don't really offer scholarships, but they'll give like grants and aid, but you'll still have to come out of your pocket with like $10,000, $20,000 for them to come, to go there. Tournament fees, right? Parents pay a lot in tournament fees to go away, travel, hotel. Let's even bring up medical copays, like the doctor visits, the medical clearances. The dentist is very important in basketball too, and as a young person, right? So, I mean, I outlined a lot of fees, that parents pay for in the book that I just was like, wow. And by the time Chad got to the 11th grade, every year I just was putting up money for the basketball fund, because I knew. And another thing about paying the fees too, like coaches, you guys always want it like tomorrow. So if you guys are going somewhere, like 2 Saturdays from now, oh, we're going to Florida in 2 weeks. We need $740 for the plane ticket and the hotel. We need it tomorrow, Mom. So it's always, it's always something. One plus though, I will give, and I saved on sneakers, right? You definitely save on sneakers. You don't have to really buy sneakers for them until, youth basketball, they give away sneakers and uniforms, but you got to buy gear, practice t-shirts, you got to pay for trainers, fees, car fare, travel, and education. You pay tuition, but I don't really have to pay for like school supplies because that all comes with it. But it's a lot. Some parents project that, or national sports organizations rather, project that parents actually pay, I think 10 to 15% of their yearly income on sports fees. So you definitely have to budget or barter or something with a coach.
Yeah, those days that I remember getting those first pairs of sneakers, and then how I continued on. And I say from about the time I was 15 to about probably 25, never paid for a pair of sneakers. And even now, a lot of my friends who got sneaker contracts, that's another thing. But they always throw me something every now and again.
Let me add this in too. I just peeped it in the book. Watching the games online now, streaming services. I spent a fortune in watching like Baller TV, ESPN Plus, all of those streaming fees. That's another thing. So, you got to pay for annual Flow Track, Flow Hoops. And
tell people why you watching these games and who's playing. So, if parents watching this, they could get an inside track.
Yeah, so usually I was watching the games because I couldn't afford to be at the game, or was, coaches or what he said so much for the 401k. College coaches are watching, other teams coaches like AAU coaches are watching. The kids themselves are watching themselves and their games. They're getting highlights, from the games, which will help in college recruitment. But the streaming services, those could hit you hard. I usually try to find free trials, during the seasons and kind of skate around, but you could end up spending a lot of money on that.
Man, I didn't even know all those things. I knew, a few streaming services, but you named some. I'm just like, wow, I never even heard of that one before. So, I'm serious. It's a lot. It's big business, multi-billion-dollar business all across. And go figure, the NCAA is a nonprofit organization. Yeah, all right.
That's a whole other level out of you.
Oh yeah,
that's college.
Yeah, trust me. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, right? We got
that's a whole other. I ain't up to that book yet.
Yeah.
We still in there.
That's right. So you touched on this before about the involvement of parents, right? Can you describe the difference between the underinvolved parent, a mildly involved, compared to an overly involved parent? And where do you say you fall in between?
Ooh. I've gone through stages of overly involved and kind of like medium.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever been under-involved. I think under-involved parents are the ones that don't show up to their kids' games for whatever reason. And sometimes that's real sad because a kid may be there and didn't have any family or parents to watch him play. It's almost like a kid having to go to his graduation by himself. And so, other parents will try to, root that kid on, like, oh, because we know that nobody else is there for him. So those are probably the under-involved ones. Or the ones that maybe don't know they should be there. That is more than just sport, and someone could just come and use your kid up and they're not aware of that. Medium involved, that's someone that's like always on point, knows the schedule, know where their kid has to be, know what, the coaches know them. And they're just trying to guide their kid based upon what their kid wants. Like, I think that most parents should be advisors, but like, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not the one that gets up at 5 a.m. when Chad wants to go running. I'm not the one in the weight room with him. Like, he has to want to do that. So I think that when the parents support their kids like that, that's the happy medium. And then the overly involved parents, probably the ones that's trying to live out their dreams through their kids, and you could tell who they are in the gym. They're the ones that want to, coach the coaches, think the referees got something against their kids, want their kids to go where they want them to go instead of where the kid wants to go. So I don't know. It's kind of like a mixture.
I don't know what's wrong with some parents that feel like the referee has it out for their kid. Only their kid. You're arguing with them. It's mind-boggling, because me as a player, I always thought the dudes who got mad at the refs couldn't play. I'm like, they're here to do a job.
Interesting.
They're here to keep order. But if you complaining about that's how I feel. If you complain about the ref, you can't play.
That's a good point.
So if you want to get on the next level, because the dudes on that next level don't complain about the referees. They know how to work the referees. Even when the referee makes a bad call, you say, "Good call, ref." Then you caught me on that one. I thought I got over.
And I don't think a lot of parents know that.
No, it's the tricks. They're people too. You yelling at me and cursing at me. Word? Okay. Who your son? Oh
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tech.
That's one thing I try to tell parents, like, you could go hard on the coach or the ref if you want to, but your son is going to be the one that suffers because of it. And that is real talk. Like, there's been times, like Chad taught me that early. He was like, look, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing because I'm not trying to run an extra 2 miles because of you.
No, that's true. That's true. My guys are, referees, one of my, big bros in this game. He's a signer for my tournament, and something goes on with his refs. He called me like, "Pooh, what the hell is going on?" And I got to make sure that I take care of that, because not my big bro gonna chew me out, because he's making sure I get some of the best referees, right? And with that comes with professionalism, them being on time, and them calling the calls like they call them. I can't tell them how to call their calls. This is what they do. Right. So I think it's a happy medium that we have. So the kids get the best officiating that they can get. I think that's important. Yeah. Now you talk about parent protection. Can you give parents some insights on how they can protect their children from the street agents and handlers, and not even that, from just being there and protecting the child like they should outside of the home and on the basketball court? Because it's different, because a lot of times I see kids running the show. I see kids telling their parents what the hell to do. It's like, who the parent here?
Well, one of the things that always concerned me and always perplexed me was the manner in which parents will let their child go to a coach that they've never met, or gotten into a car with a parent that they have never met. So I didn't play that. Like, if my son wasn't going to a coach's house that I had never met, he definitely wasn't spending the night at a teammate's house of a parent that I never met, or the coach's house. If you would come in to pick my kid up, we did have an incident out in Las Vegas where a coach sent, for whatever reason, he wasn't flying back with the team. He wanted him to go with another coach to drive to LA to fly back. And literally, Chad was getting ready to step into this van when he called me to go on this ride. And I was like, hold up. Wait. Who are these people? What's happening? He's like, no, Mars, okay, I'm riding with coach. Like, no, we're not doing that. Good thing Coach Al was there and got Chad to the airport. I flew him home. But it boggles my mind, the freedom that many parents have like that. Like, they give their kid to a coach, and it's just like, you don't know what hotel they're staying at. You don't know, like, how they're getting to the venue. Like, no. Like, my son, he already knew that communication is key. Like, when you're leaving, you text me. When you get there, you text me. Who you going with? Like, so I think parents need to be more aware, because if you Google stories of coaches and sexual abuse, I think many will be shocked at the number of stories of pedophiles that over the years have gotten dozens of kids. Like, usually when they get caught, it's like, oh, they molested 30 kids, 50 kids. And it's just like, wow, how did that happen? Like, somebody was asleep at the wheel. So I think it's important that, coaches communicate with parents, and parents don't let their kids just go off with anyone. I don't care how long they've been in or how famous they are as coaches.
Speaking of that, remember 19 87. Me going to prep school my senior year at MCI. And never met the coach before. My mother never met the coach before. You know, this is a different time. We couldn't Google. There was no Google. But again, my coach and Tom Kinchowski, right, has set the situation up. And I remember getting off the bus in Maine, and it's pitch black, and the only thing I see is the lights of a car. White man steps out. It's my coach, Paul Pellicani. And I'm saying to myself, damn, suppose he take me and just kill me right now. Like my mind, as a kid, my mind was thinking like that. But again, one of the greatest things that happened to me, times are a lot different. And even in my times, kids was getting touched. So, man, I guess the Most High was on my side too to make sure I was placed with the right people, because it could have went bad. Because as you talking, I'm sitting back thinking like, damn, we just did that over a phone call. Not FaceTime, no FaceTime. We was on the house phone calling. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't play that.
Yeah. Mama don't play that.
Yeah, my kids call me the helicopter mom, but it's okay.
It's all
Stay
good.
safe.
That's right. That's right. What's the advantages of coaches and parents working together?
It's all better for the kid. It's all better for the kid. Like, I think that we kind of lose that as parents, that this is about that young person in this sport and setting an example for them as adults. So, you know, you got to respect the coach, and coaches got to respect parents. I like to hope that coaches would stop putting parents all in the same wheelbarrow. Because online they tear parents up. I never hear any good things about, oh, we had a great parent that helped us with snacks or washed the clothes for us, washed the uniforms. Like, I never see that. All I ever see is, oh, bad parents is so bad. And I think that sucks. I think that, you know, as adults, we have to work together, because it's all about the young people. It's not about the adults. Like, you had your time to shine. Like, this is about your kid now. And it's like how you act is going to project that attitude your kid has on the court and in the game coming up. So if they feel entitled by the time they finish high school, no college is going to deal with that. You know, they're not going to deal. No coach is going to deal. They don't care if you a star AAU or your son was #1 in the country. That colleges do not care. They do not care about your social media. They don't care. And I think a lot of kids learn that lesson the hard way, and they get to college and they're riding the bench.
Yes. I've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah.
But then now they got the transfer portal and the NIL.
That's another game too. It's hard. It's not as easy as it looks.
Listen, this is my outlook on it, right? They knew they was going to start have to pay kids. They knew that it was going to come as inevitable. It's going to happen. So I think they threw the transfer portal in just to throw everybody off. And people go, well, it benefits the kid. I go, yeah, but it teaches a kid to quit early, right? But it's some, not saying for all, some it worked out for, right? But then for the majority, but people they don't talk about the kids who stuck in the portal, right? They never talk about that part. They talk about the kids who transfer, but they never talk about the hundreds of kids who are just stuck in the portal. Once they leave their school, they don't have a school to go to.
True. It's hard. It's like rolling dice. It is. It's not as easy as it looks. That's true.
My guy told me the guy on the bench from a mid-major Division I program is getting $80,000.
Yeah, it's money. It's money to be made. I'm not gonna say it's not, but
right,
it's changing things. Yes, but I don't think it's the majority of play. Like, there are 5,000 D1 players.
Mm-hmm.
I would really love to know how many of those 5,000 or so have an NIL deal.
I think that's something we should research.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see how can we find that out. As soon as I find it out, if you find it out before me, please let me know. But I'm definitely gonna look into that.
I will. It feels like it's more NIL new companies than players. So that's another thing.
Oh yeah. I always talk to my players who come on the show and coaches, directors about the transitions, right? Because there's a transition from youth basketball to high school, right? And then high school to prep school, or high school to college, then high school to the pros or overseas or the G League, or after basketball. Each transition is different. And I think it's important for kids to understand that, you know, for every new stop, you have to start over. And I think a lot of kids aren't prepared for that. How did you have that talk with your son about the different transitions he's going to have to go through?
No, Chad had to talk with me. It's always been.
Got you.
He's teaching me. He's
Got
showing
you.
me, like, hey, Ma, check this out. You know, like, this is how this goes. Like I said, he made the transition from Lockland to McDuffie. Then him and his coach, you know, talked to me about why a post-grad year at Woodstock would make sense. Then it was like, while they're doing all that, I'm the one that's doing the academic clearinghouse stuff, making sure the GPA is matching with the NCAA and, you know, things like that. But I could look at the transitions, though. I tell you that it gets harder and harder as you go up. You know, I always like to say that the ones who work really hard at these transitions and going up, they have sacrificed their childhoods. You know, I always say, like, if a kid that's playing basketball in high school, if he got time for a party or he going out to the movies all the time, he's not really a basketball player. Like, you know, he's not in it, because these kids, they like, Chad was too tired to go to his high school prom. Like, he just was literally exhausted, you know? So that's the difference. Is the older they get, the more you'll see whether this is something they want to do because of the sacrifices involved. It's more training, it's more running, it's more games, it's more nutrition, it's more medical stuff. It's like, it becomes like a mini career, you know, like, this is what I'm going to be doing for a living. And you can see the change in your kid as they're growing into adulthood, right? You know?
Yeah, I miss family reunions. I miss Christmases. I miss Thanksgivings. I missed a lot. I missed a lot. And, you know, my guys and myself, we talk about these things. So I missed out on a lot. It's family members who I'm just meeting because, you know, I've been playing ball so long. It's definitely tough. And you're right. You just play basketball if you got too much time on your hands. You're not a ball player. It's a difference.
It is
definitely a big difference. Definitely. So, what made you write this book? What was the Yahoo moment when you was like, you know, I gotta write this book?
Yeah, the Yahoo moment was, no parent should have to go through this. I was like, I have to help other parents. So really, the book is not like a telltale book. It's almost like, there were so many people that come at you with false information or untruths, or just try to play you because you're a parent, you know, and they just see your kid as a commodity. And then the next thing you know, you done spent $5,000 on something that you didn't even have to have. And I know, you know, a lot of parents are sacrificing their time, their money, emotional health, everything for their kids. And I just was like, where is the blueprint for us? Like, everything I read was about how to get your kid to do this, how to get your kid to do that, but it wasn't written from someone that was actually walking the walk. And I said, so I'm going to put together a blueprint in the hopes that it will help parents behind us, you know, save, whether on time, money, emotional stuff, mental stuff, you know, because it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And I just felt like I wrote the book I wish I would have had when Chad started in the 9th grade.
Wow. I'm definitely gonna promote it on my social media again. I'm gonna put it up.
Thank you.
Let everybody know that they should buy it. A clip is gonna be on the page of you explaining that. I think this is awesome. Just scrolling through the different topics and you know, the different chapters that you have there in the book. It was just so easy. It wasn't a hard read. It's not, and I think you wrote in such layman terms that any parent could pick it up and kind of follow the process.
Yes.
You know, so that says kudos to you and everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
They could pick the book up at Amazon, correct?
Yes.
Amazon, the parent section, outside the locker room. All right. Spread this around, share this, let everybody know. And if you're new to the room, make sure you push that subscribe button, push that like, share this video to everyone, and let everybody know that, you know, Simone got this beautiful book out that everybody should purchase if they're a basketball parent. And even if you are a basketball player and you want to know the insights to what's going on, you should buy this book as well. Because I think it's very important for the culture. Any last words you would like to give our parents out there? Some advice that you'd like to give our parents before they even start their journey?
To make sure they enjoy the journey because it goes fast. And one thing I do thank basketball for doing for my son and my family is that it brought us closer together. Like most of the times, you know, my people in my family would say, how do you keep Chad on a curfew? Or how do you keep away the girls? And so basketball has brought so much goodness to helping to raise my son and making him into a great man. But along the way, my thing is to enjoy the journey and document everything. Because you'll look back now, I'm sending videos to Chad from like Laughlin and McDuffie. He's like, wow, you got this, you got that. You know, like try to keep a documentation for them to look at later. So, yeah.
Would you advise more parents to send their kids to the McDuffie school?
Heck yeah.
Shameless plug, my God's the coach there, so I want to make sure.
Yes, the McDuffie school, excellent place. A couple of great young players have come out of there that are playing in the pros now. One is on the Charlotte Hornets, James Booknight. He's from Brooklyn. Ishmael, who was at Kansas State, who's now at Georgetown. He was part of Kansas State with Mr. NYC Marquise.
Yes.
He graduated.
I remember he was at Laughlin. Yes.
And he graduated. Well, Ishmael, he graduated from McDuffie as well. So yeah, great education, beautiful location in Massachusetts, very safe. It was a great place, great coaches, great administration, the deans, everyone welcomed him. Definitely worth an investment. Great basketball. Couldn't ask for a better high school for Chad to graduate from.
No, that's awesome. Well, listen, our time is up right about now. I usually take you to the ringer for the top 5, but we'll leave that for another time.
Okay.
I want to say again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We appreciate you here on Basketball Heads, and we're gonna keep promoting that book. Make sure it gets to everyone, because I definitely think it's definitely one of the most important books for our culture.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
I enjoyed you. Take care.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Wow. You see how much stuff you can learn? See, we not only have some of the greatest players in New York City history up here, we have some of our greatest authors as well that contribute to the culture. I want to thank our guest tonight, Simone Joye, for coming on and giving us some insight into being a basketball parent. And from the beginning, she's still there, rocking through. So we want to make sure we purchase that book. It's called The Parent Section, Outside the Locker Room, by yours truly, Simone Joye. You can buy this on Amazon. Please buy it on Amazon. I'd like to give a big shout out to everybody who came in the room. Thank you for coming to the show. Delbert, appreciate you, brother. Hands that make a difference. Thank you. That's Lisa, right? Joe, salute, man. Appreciate you always. Thank you. And we're about to get out of here. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And you've been watching Basketball Heads Live, the podcast, on NYC Basketball Network. We are the official home for New York City basketball. Peace.